Great day, marvelous day. If you don't know, it's podcast season. I'm sorry. It is Pisces season, and we are celebrating all throughout the month of February and March. It's national holidays for everybody. You heard me? I recently celebrated my B-Day, born day. I'm blessed to be here another year. And, like I said, shout out to all the other Pisces out there that's representing and celebrating their birthday. Do it safely. Have a great time. And enjoy yourself being on the side of picking instead of pushing those flowers. So welcome to the Corey Webster Experience. I am your host, Corey Webster, IMC Web. And today we diving in to talk about the state of podcasting. Recently, everybody has a podcast. I'm no different. I have one. And we locked in talking about everything sports on and off the field. So let's dive into the state of podcasting. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it healthy? Is it a positive thing going on? Or is it just what you bring to it, what you get from it? Let's figure it out. So many people have podcasts. Even, some of the sports figures, some of the entertainers that once did something else, people have transitioned into podcasts. And I think it's a good thing because, for one, everybody has an opinion. Everybody has, thoughts and a perspective about what they're going through and how they perceive things. So with that being said, man, it's okay to have an opinion about things. And for the person that you have an opinion about, not to get mad or to comment back. I just don't want podcasts to do what hip hop does or what hip hop did. Because for one time, it was a separation between streets and hip hop. And then at a particular time, those lines got blurred and streets and hip hop clashed or collided. And when I say that, when I'm talking about streets, there's a lot of guys that are from the culture of, street and hip hop. And when we first originally started it, with the likes artists like KRS-One and, all those guys, it wasn't all about drill music. It wasn't all about negativity, should I say. A lot of people had message in their music, but then, it evolves just like anything else. But with the evolution of hip hop, we saw a lot of gangster, drill, murder music being created. And I don't think that was a healthy way for it to progress. Needless to say, that's what it did. So now I'm seeing a lot of that in the podcasting because a lot of the individuals that come from those cultures, whether it be hip hop, whether it be street, are now podcasting. And I'm cool with it. But I don't think it has to become a space where negativity just lives. And that's what I'm seeing now. I'm seeing even in our major markets where the sportscasters talk about sports, I'm seeing those guys go back and forth with beefing and talking about us having catch a, what do you call it? A fade, a fair one. Like, I don't think that's where we should be evolving to, you know what I mean? So with the state of so many podcasts, you have, and I think there are certain individuals that maybe dipping in the culture that maybe not from the culture. And that's cool because, it means that culture that they're talking about is very interesting to, and is being brought to different cultures. So hopefully they can understand it or have a better understanding of those cultures that, we can have a sense of agree to disagree if you don't like those things, or we just understand that, okay, that's where that comes from. Queen. We got the queen on the other side. Any thoughts about this podcast? What do you think about these individuals, these men that, we like, hey, let's catch a fair one. Let's catch, let's go outside. And because of your opinion that you have on me or that I have on you, we got to fight about it. We got to squabble up.
The one thing that comes to mind when you say that word men, the theme song, Many Men.
That's what comes up. That is another song that promoted violence. You know what I mean? That song talked about a lot of violence. You know what I mean? That people wish. You know what I mean? So that's a segue. That's a segue. I just think it's immature. I ain't gonna lie to a point. I don't want anybody to take it, in a negative light. But I think it's immature. You know what I mean? Or maybe I'm using the wrong word. I think maybe emotional, unintelligent. Might be a better word if I use that correctly. You know what I mean? I just think it's a men that have grown and they haven't been working on their emotional intelligence. Because I just don't see myself, you know. First of all, I played a sport, right? A very public sport, right? Where people get to chime in, you know, whether you call them analytics, whether you call them analysts, whether you call them commentators, they get to chime in and say, hey, well, and this started early on. This started in high school, right? What was the program? Friday Night Lights. Showing a highlight. They can get up there and say whatever they like, right? Or whatever you don't like, you know what I mean? And you have to take it. So with playing a public sport, or with being a public figure, or with being a well-known sports guy or entertainer, I think that kind of comes with it. But that doesn't necessarily mean you have to go back and forth with the person that has an opinion about you. Like, I never thought about awards or what others thought about me. Yes, I want everybody to like me, but that's just not the case. I don't like everybody, you know what I'm saying? So if I don't like everybody, I have to understand that people may not like or may not have an opinion that I may like, right? So I just think it's immature that when you're in the public eye, or when you're well known, or whatever you want to call it, famous, celebrity, if you're in that spot and somebody makes a comment about you or give their opinion on something that you have done or that you're doing, why can't you understand that that's just an opinion that they gave? And if they respond back or you respond to their opinion, why can't it just be, you know, we're going to agree to disagree and two men or two individuals just, you know, be able to live on that? Why it has to keep escalating? And I felt like it was a time, and I may be wrong, before, even with the UNLV, I'm from Louisiana, so when they rapped about UNLV, you know, Yellow Boy, drag him up the river, dump your body, all right? Even in that time, it was like, wow, you know what I mean? Like, that was a thing, right? And that was locally. And we have other local stuff that we could talk about, but you know, that's New Orleans, it's Baton Rouge, just different places we could talk about the local stuff. But that was one of the first times that was like a wow moment for me, as far as there was naming people names in the music on wax, right? And then on a national scene, that would be, I don't know, Tupac and Biggie Smalls, right? When they start going back and forth with each other. And that made, you know, almost a whole East Coast, West Coast thing go, right? And then it became normal in hip hop to go after maybe your enemy, maybe somebody that you didn't get along with, and even now, go after your ops, right? Seem like we're getting in that space in podcasting where two people don't agree or have different opinions about each other, are going back and forth with each other. And now we're talking about when we see each other's on site, or if it's an issue, we talking about beef and stuff when it comes to podcasting. And I'm seeing that it's a lot of individuals that come from, whether it's the sports world or hip hop world or the hip hop culture or the street culture, that's coming over into podcasting. And this trend is kind of happening in podcasting, right? So I just think that I don't want it to happen. I want us to be, it's okay for somebody to have an opinion about you. I think that is a blessing in itself. Like, that should be looked at like, okay, I'm doing something where this person may not agree with what I'm doing, but they're talking about what I'm doing. And that to me is driving up your content, right? Because when they talk about actors or when they talk about players or entertainers being villains, right? It's normally because people want to see them lose, right? Like, and that's it's still paying attention to you, right? Floyd Mayweather, he won 50 fights. But I'm sure as many people that was there to see him win, it was a lot of people that came there to see him lose or to see him underperform or things of that nature. So I think it's the same thing. And that's what the commentators, that's what they do. That's what they talk about, right? Everybody got a different perspective, right? And it's okay. We don't have to fight each other because we have that difference of opinion or that different perspective. So I just hope that we get to a healthier state when it comes to podcasting and not wanting to fight everybody or go after everybody just because they have an opinion about them.
All right, so let's get into the evolution of hip hop podcasts. How have podcasts like All the Smoke, Gil's Arena, and Vlad TV influenced the dissemination of hip hop culture and its narratives?
I just believe a lot of those guys were not only like, a fan of the culture when it comes to hip hop. A lot of those guys are hip hop. Like, they are part of the culture. Hip hop is hard to, you know how they say every athlete want to be a rapper, or every rapper want to be an athlete, and vice versa with the entertainers. But I don't see them being any different. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of the things that the hip hop or the culture is talking about, athletes see that every day. They come from the same neighborhood. They were inspired by some of the similarities in how they grew up and how they was raised, right? So they was inspired by that a lot. I'm just saying a lot of them was inspired by that get out of the mud mentality, right? I'm from this culture. I want to make it out this culture, and I'm willing to do things, whether it's hard work, be disciplined, be dedicated to make it out this culture. So when I see those guys transition from being an entertainer from their respective sports into the podcasting field and talking about that culture, I don't see it as a slight anyway. I'm not the guy that look at it like, well, because they play basketball, they shouldn't be talking about hip hop, or vice versa. When I see people like It Is What It Is, Cameron and Mace, I don't look at those guys to be like, all right, since they entertainers and we're rappers, they shouldn't be talking about sports. You know what I'm saying? I just like the evolution of it. You know what I mean? I think those guys have audiences, and I think those guys, do a great job in their own perspective to talk about the things that, we may feel that entertain us, and they talk about it in their own unique way. I don't think they're being, somebody that they not. You know what I mean? I think Cam and Mace, that's who they are. I think there's some guys that gonna laugh. I laugh thinking about them. You know what I mean? I think they're gonna laugh, they're gonna joke, but that don't make them, any less of a man or anything like that, or that don't make them any less knowledgeable about what they're talking about, right? And at the end of the day, it's their opinions. So they're entitled to their own opinion. I'm entitled to whether I want to hear it, whether I want to listen to it, or whether I listen to it and don't comment on it just to hear what people are saying about my podcast or my platform and how I want to get better from it. So I enjoy those. I'm a fan of those podcasts, right? But I think it's a space for other people like them, because I think it's going to come from a different perspective, because they're going to see it if they're being their organic, authentic self. They're going to see it through their lens, and it's going to be different from what we already have out there. That's why, I'm sitting here talking about it as well. Like, I'm no different. The culture I come from is going to be unique because of proximity of place, but I'm equally a fan for it. You know what I mean? So I like their narrative. I think we need more of it, and you get to have individuals tell their own story, or tell the story or perspective from a different lens, and not a lens that's being force fed to you, right? It's more of an independent base. It's not somebody saying, hey, say this. Hey, you got to have this point versus the other person having this point. So I enjoy those, back and forwards, or those platforms just as much as, they inspire me.
What motivated former athletes to venture off into podcasting with shows like All the Smoke and Gil's Arena?
I just think, especially for me, for an athlete, man, we get interviewed every day, right? So being on the other side, of the camera, and putting yourself in a journalist perspective, I just think it's intriguing, just because, we sat across from the person that asks us the question every day, all day. So you start to be like, man, just being honest, you know what I mean? Man, what if those questions was being asked from a person that actually, for the most part, did some of these things, you know what I mean? Because you sit down and you be like, man, why did they ask that question? You know what I mean? And not for nothing, I'm not trying to say anything about, different individuals that ask questions, but from a person that didn't watch film, a person that didn't study the game, a person that has, sweat equity blood, sweat, and tears in the game. I enjoy their perspective. I enjoy the questions that they ask, because they have a different understanding. And I think at the end of the day, for a fan, an avid fan, I think it helps them understand from the actual athlete's perspective what's going on. And it kind of pulls back the curtain and let them in when you have two people that then, the journalist that has been from that perspective and the person that you may be a fan of that's sitting there answering the questions. So I think that's the, almost a natural transition for them. And I think that's why you've seen a lot of them, excel in media right now. Shout out to LSU. We got 4 guys. I don't want to shout anybody. That's, on major networks that's doing their thing, right? Marcus Spears, Ryan Clark, Booger McFarland. I know his name is Anthony, but Anthony Booger McFarland, Andrew Whitworth, right? And we got a lot of them that's doing it, on different levels as well. You know what I mean? So I just think that's a cool, natural transition just because we get interviewed so much. And a lot of us have done some media training just to be totally honest and totally transparent.
Nice. All right, so let's switch gears a little bit. In what ways do hip-hop podcasts integrate political discussions, and how does this reflect the genre's historical engagement with social issues?
I don't think you can do anything in America or in this world without having a bit of politics in it. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, we all have different perspective and different thoughts about politics. So, being politically correct, like just think about that term in itself, right? Look up that term, politically correct. What's the actual term for that, right? Just in that self, every time somebody does an interview, they have to really understand the message that they're trying to put out, because sometimes the raw and unedited can come off a bit wrong or a bit different to the audience. And then we get things like, oh man, I didn't mean that, right? I wasn't saying that. Well, we have to be very thoughtful when it comes to these different types of interviews and things of that nature. So I don't think we ever going to be able to separate whether it's television, sports, entertainment from politics. Because each individual, whether it's your family, whether it's your club, have their perspective and have their values with who they want to vote for and who they are supporting when it comes to politics. And if you have such a platform like, people are building when it comes to individual, right? The athlete, the entertainer, they're building a platform, right? And normally those athletes or entertainers are on an organization platform, right? Where the organization got to have a message, the individual got to have a message. So I know a lot of people have said just shut up and dribble and things of that nature. I think that's very disrespectful. And we have a lot of people that then said, keep politics out of sports. But when you listen to the analysts on TV, you can hear politics in sports. You just got to listen to it. I don't care if it's boxing, NHL, basketball, football, college, high school. If they are giving their thoughts and their opinion, it comes out. You just got to listen for it. So for me, I normally watch the game, and you can be, you can test for me. I normally watch the game on mute because normally I don't want to hear what the people are saying. I want to formulate my own opinion because I'm an individual that done been out there on the field, right? So I can, do my own, analysis of what's going on without having them force feed the information to me. And I always say, that's a part of your diet. So be cognizant of what you digesting. You sitting down watching a sports program, but subconsciously what those individuals are saying up there, because you may be a fan of whatever team is out there and that person is, putting that team on a pedestal, you may agree with other things that subconsciously, not even knowing that person is saying too. So just be cognizant of that, But I don't think we can separate the two. I just think we have to be knowledgeable about what's going on. And I would say that it's a responsibility on both parties to monitor what they're taking in. And it's also a responsibility to the person that's on television or that has that platform to be responsible with it and don't just push a narrative just because it's near and dear to you. Give the people the proper information, the facts, so they can make a decision for themselves.
Alrighty, nice.
I know. I mean, I know. But I do enjoy, and I also, I took a master program, you know what I mean? Because I didn't want to just get into podcasting or get into journalism without having an understanding of it, at least to some level, right? Just because I played sports, I didn't want to say, well, if I play sports, it's easy for me to, get on the other side of asking the questions and things of that nature. No, I wanted to learn. So, I just got a book too. Shout out to Mr. Scott Reveille. He's at LSU. He been, I think, the family owned the Reveille paper and everything like that. But he just put out 100 years of LSU history in a book form. But I took his classes. And, I had to understand how to go about, and not just, I can work on my own time now, but understand that it's timelines to a lot of this stuff too, right? So not only do I have to be great at what I do, meaning journalism and the question that I want to ask and the story that I'm writing, is also for most of those people that's working in there, it's a timeline. That paper got to be turned in before a certain time. If they want that paper to be taken seriously, or if you want it to be even thought about being on the front cover of the paper that you're writing for, or the magazine that you're writing for, or the website that you're writing for, you know what I mean? So you being at a event, a LSU football game that started at 1:00, you have a time, a date to get that paper written, have facts, also capture the audience attention. So, you can have that knowledgeable and that widespread, viral moment for that paper so it can be turned in at before 12 o'clock that night so that paper could run tomorrow. And it got to be, you got to have somebody to do the corrections and all that. So that in itself for a lot of people could be overwhelming to a person that's in journalism. So I wanted to make sure that I had that foundation on, hold up, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Although it's easier for me to go in there and talk to individuals, but I'm also respectful. I think a lot of that, kind of go non and void when it comes from an athlete to athlete perspective, because I see a lot of these athletes that transition in, they go there and they have these wild takes. And the ones that normally have these wild takes on individual athletes, they normally use the excuse, I'm just doing my job. Well, if I done been in that seat before, I have a little bit more empathy and a little bit more compassion when it comes to that person. And I can still get out a beautiful story. Now, it might not be clickbait. It might not be something that goes viral because I'm saying something negative. And we got to be, as consumers, we have to be more cognizant of that too. Not just to want the bold headline to be negative. We have to be responsible about that because we jump on the negativity. Can I say this? I know I'm jumping and I'm off the topic a little bit, but I'm going to say this. We recently just had a cheerleading competition, right, in Texas, Dallas. This competition have 35,000 athletes that come from all around the world to take in this event. If I'm not mistaken, it's about 300 or so thousand people with family, friends, and all this, right? I can't remember, but I know it's 35,000 athletes. They recently had a situation, because I don't want to call it, it was a situation, right? They had a scare. But with the headlines put on it, it was massive shooting downtown. So I'm like, oh, wow, I saw these young girls coming in for, I was at the airport for picking up someone, and I saw these, man, look all these young girls coming with the outfits on. They had the sweatsuits on. I'm like, well, something's going on. Whether it's volleyball, but I found out it was a cheer thing going on.
National cheer competition.
National cheer competition. So I'm like, oh, I was aware of it. So I'm like, man, I see them walking the different restaurants all around town, they everywhere, right?
Saw the rhinestones.
So rhinestones everywhere, right? I don't have a daughter, so I'm like, something is going on, right? But I got a couple of guard girls that participated in that. Shout out Ravens, Imani, Miss Paris. But so when I saw the headlines, massive shooting near downtown at 1 p.m., I'm like, man, in the middle of the daytime, man, that's just sad. That's just this, that, and the third. And then when I click on it and I sit down and I watch the news, it didn't have a shooting.
All lies.
All lies. It didn't have a shooting. Now, people were scared because a scuffle broke out, and I think something fell, like a pole or a pipe fell. It made a loud noise, so people started running. So I'm like, hold up. The news is telling me exactly what happened, but the headline said massive shooting. So I feel like that's a little bit misleading, right? And I think that's what a lot is going on in the media, right? We want people, whether you call it clickbait, we want people to click on it, tune into it. But I think that's misleading, and that's why I asked you about this definition. What is being politically correct? I like for people to be factual, and I think if we do that as, I guess, as a news corporation, right? If we be factual and be more of, let's put out the facts, let's put out the details, and let the people make their own decision what they want to do with it. I don't think we should mislead them to say, hey, mass shooting, click on this right here, just to tell them it wasn't a mass shooting. This didn't happen. This headline was clickbait. I got you to click on it to make it go viral. And now I'm going to tell you that it wasn't a mass shooting that happened. If I just read the headlines and then I go past that, what I like to call misinformation or gaslighting, then who's right or who's wrong? Maybe me for not doing my research or not getting all the information, but I think the person that put it out should be a little responsible for it.
So the definition says political correctness is the process of speaking without offending anyone.
So it don't have nothing to do with facts.
No.
See, that's crazy, right? Because we've been told our whole life, man, make sure you're politically correct. Let's just be correct. You know what I mean? Let's be correct. Let's just be, a person that's honest and trustworthy. Say that definition again, please.
It is the process of speaking without offending anyone.
Yeah. Now, I don't want to offend anyone either, but, if the truth hurts, it is what it is. I think we should lean on the facts, lean on the truth.
How about we just have some good manners?
That's what manners. Would you say manners is being honest and being the truth?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, and if you don't have nothing good to say, like Grandma said, just don't say nothing, whether it's the facts or whether it's true, right? Just keep it to yourself, right? But yeah, I think we as media have a responsibility to not only be first, but to be factual. I think a lot of time we have put out those things because we want to be first. If you notice this, when you watch any of the shows that you like to watch, especially the media shows that you like to watch, notice this. They're going to always state who is the first. Something goes on ESPN, whoever is the guy that's for basketball, they're going to say first reported by whatever his name is. It's normally Adam Schefter or something like that. I don't want to, no disrespect to his name. Something like that. You hear it all the time, right? Because I mess up a name. I'm sorry. Right? If it's something larger, ESPN, first reported by Wojciechowski. Is that right? I don't know. I might be, you know what I'm saying? I may need to start with the name. If it's first with NCAA football, reported by Paul Feinbaum.
TMZ got to be first.
Yeah, I think we should stop trying to be first, and we should want to be truthful and honest more than we want to be first. Now, if it happened to be first and you did all your due diligence to be honest, true, and to lead with morals, values, and principles, then so be it, right? You got it all together. But don't just be so quick to be first. That becomes the responsibility of the media. Make sure you're reporting, and you should be held to that standard and be accountable to report facts. So that's what I like about the media and some of these podcasts. And some of them don't care. Some of them are leading and doing the same thing. But for me, now I want to have some integrity. And I know some people say you can't eat integrity, but I want to have some integrity in what we're doing and our thoughts and putting out our perspective. So that's what we're going to lead with over here. So hopefully you guys want the same thing. And we also want to be engaging, right? And I could be wrong. Anything that I said that wasn't right today, please fact check me. That's what the fact check lady normally do. Like, that's why I'm not mad about getting the name wrong or so, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's all good. Correct me. And if I got your name wrong or a word wrong, I apologize, right? Let me grow too. Moving on, you know when podcasting first start? I don't know the actual date, but one of the ones that the origins of podcasts, one of the ones that I first remember was Jalen and Jacoby. From, having a guy from the sports world with a guy from the media world kind of lining up. And I'm sure they had ones before that. I'm just talking about that's the ones that I didn't know. And I saw even his set, how Jalen and Jacoby had, he talked about the Jada Kiss. He talked about, he didn't just scratch the surface, you know what I mean? He talked about sports, entertainment, hip hop, some cultural things. So I enjoyed that. It went away, but I enjoyed that, you know what I mean? And I think we need more perspective like that because I kind of could relate to it, you know what I mean? A lot of the stuff that's going on, I don't relate to it. I understand what's going on, but I know it's not going to have an impact in a positive way on the culture where I come from. And I want to make sure that not only do we have an impact on the culture, I want to have a positive impact on the culture where they can take some things from what we're talking about and what we're saying and hang their hat on it. And I challenge all other podcasts out there, man, check yourself, man. Don't just go off of your numbers. I know that's a part of it, but don't just go off, hey, man, we entertaining. But if you putting out garbage, it's crazy. Don't put out garbage. And if they putting out garbage, let them put out garbage and don't watch the garbage. Don't get caught up in they putting out garbage and it's just entertaining for me. We did that when it came to a lot of our hip hop stuff. I don't want to go down that same path with podcasting, you know what I mean? So maybe early 2000? And I don't know if this is true, but it said podcasting came from, Apple having iPod, and they combined that with being able to have portable media devices, and that's where it came from. I don't know. Fact check that. You know what I mean? And that was around somewhere in the early 2000s. You know what I mean? Go check it. Go fact check it. You know what I mean? They got a lot of the people out there that's doing the podcasting too. That's I ain't gonna say they're doing well. You know what I mean? Because a lot of the stuff they put out, I don't agree with. But because I don't agree with it, I just challenge them to put out some more positive stuff. You know what I mean? When I mean positive, it can be, I'm not saying go out there and, you have to be all fluffy because the real stories are the real stories. But we don't have to highlight the negativity. I've seen a lot of people, I'm not even going to call the names, and maybe I'm wrong for not calling the names. A lot of podcasters have came up and just being an instigator, so to speak, to the culture of podcast. And that's what I would like to change in 25s going forward, right? The early 2000s, we started with podcasts, and we got here. So it's still very, very new, but let's challenge all these newcomers and the people that's in the podcasting game to do better. You know what I mean? You can't just grab the mic, which some of us have, grab the mic, plug it into an audio base, put a camera up. We call ourselves a podcast. We haven't done any formal journalism school or anything like that. We're just talking about it, and people are chiming in. It's almost like what I call barbershop talk, and barbershop talk is very entertaining. That's why I stopped going to the barbershop. You know what I mean? Because that can get you in trouble. I remember my last barbershop I went to. Do you remember that? Do you remember the story?
Mm-mm.
My last barbershop I went to.
No, I don't remember.
In Louisiana, that was early on, but I always, I was all
barbershop. Okay.
I was in New York.
Okay.
I was in New York. So I don't know how long I'd been with the Giants or whatever like that. But at that time, I'm from Louisiana, and not to say that put me on any pedestal or anything like that. You know what I mean? But I'm gonna be a person that always respect my environment, and I respect myself. So this particular barbershop, I guess, I come in, I'm quiet, you know what I mean? Because I'm coming to get a haircut. I ain't really coming to go for the back and forth, but I understand what a barbershop is. But for me, again, I'm gonna respect myself and I'm gonna respect my environment, you know what I mean, and respect where I'm at. So this particular barbershop, I guess they got comfortable with me coming there, right? And I'm a very observant individual. Like I said, I want to be an observant podcaster. I observe things and then I tell it to you. So I was in this barbershop and this might have been like day 3 of me being in the barbershop. Not day 3 consecutive, but you know, get my cut, right?
Third time there, right?
So one of the barbers, I guess he felt the need to start sharing his opinion, right? About, you know, who was his favorite team and this, that, and the third. And he don't know me and I don't know him, you know what I mean? But so I think he was a Cowboys fan, you know what I mean? So he was talking about, I guess, T.O. and T.O. this and T.O. that. So now I done came in the barbershop, and I don't know if this conversation was going on prior to me getting the barbershop. I don't know. I didn't ask. So I'm in the chair just getting my cut because it's my appointment time. So I just want to get my cut and keep it moving. It was my last time in the barbershop because I didn't want it to go any type of way, you know what I mean? So anyway, I go in there, he talking about, man, T.O. gonna do this, T.O. gonna do that. So I'm like, man, because I'm a man first. So you're not going to disrespect me at all. You know what I mean? That's not what it is because this is a job. I can sit here and come to the same barbershop and talk about how bad you cut hair because I don't particularly like you cutting hair because you don't cut my hair, right? I'm not coming to see you. So it's the barber that's cutting near or in the shop that my barber is at. So I remember grabbing like, hey, dude, man, I will mop this floor with you in it, man, because you're disrespecting me. Now, I don't care if the Cowboys is your team. That is cool. I'm not about to go back and forth with you about my Giants versus your Cowboys, but you're not going to disrespect me sitting here either. You ain't going to be able to talk with my name. Now, when I leave, you can do whatever you want. But while I'm in here, we ain't finna do this. So I remember the shop getting just, you know, because I guess they thought it was just going to be some cake and ice cream thing, you know what I mean? Nah, we different, you know what I mean? And again, I know my environment, so I'm going to protect myself in the environment. I'm from Louisiana, you know what I mean? So, again, I respect myself. I never disrespected you. I came here, I spoke to everybody. So we're not going to be disrespectful, you know what I mean? I got a job to do. Whether I do it good or bad, that neither here nor there. I'm not going to have this conversation with you. You can have that conversation without me. But if I'm here, you're going to respect me. So we had to have the understanding. He respected it while I was there. Again, when he left, you know, Debo, I be talking. But when Debo leave, you know what I mean? I be talking again. When he's here, I be quiet. I'm not saying I'm Debo, but you're not going to bully me or put me in that situation. So anyway, I see that's what a lot of podcasts took that shape, especially from our culture, the hip-hop culture, entertainment culture. We just going to, you know, have like barbershop talk, so it can be disrespectful.
All righty there. Y'all better calm down in these places over.
Yeah, well, you know, I think it's about emotional intelligence. I think it's about respect, you know what I mean? And everybody come from different paths. So they don't, with one may understand as respect, the other may not have that in their, you know, perspective as respect, you know what I mean? From different cultures and you meeting. So what I don't want to see is I don't want to see what I've saw with like it is what it is. With, you know, Cameron Mays going back and forth with Ocho Cinco and what it is, Nightcap Podcast. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Remember, man, it's okay to have a difference of opinions, right? We don't have to take it there. We don't have to be disrespectful to each other just because one may not understand the other or because one may have gave their opinion or perspective about you. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's keep it just what it is in conversation, in podcasting, right? What else? We have a few others. You know, I saw a few other individuals, even on the outside of the podcast. I saw a few other individuals go at each other because of a difference of opinion about, you know what I mean? We shouldn't be talking about fighting. Me, I'm an individual that I really don't care. I've been conditioned that I really don't care what others think. So, me, you can say what you want. You can have your opinion. I'm not going to argue it. If you telling me that, hey, Corey, you got that red and white shirt on, and if you firmly believe that my shirt is red and white, I'm going to say, man, you know what? It is. You like it? It's red and white, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, man. I like red and white. And I would go on about my business. Now I might tell, the person I'm with, man, dude was tripping, man, about that red and white shirt. You think it's red? Blue. I just want to make sure that I'm saying, it's blue and white. Yeah, all right. But if he want to believe it's red and white, I'm gonna give him all of that. You know what I mean? I don't like to argue back and forth about who's the top podcast, who's the top NBA player, who's the top. I don't really argue back and forth about that. You know what I mean? And I think all of this is kind of built in that culture, right? I think all of them, I enjoy the Kobe, the LeBron argument. That's a big argument, right? Kobe, LeBron, Michael Jordan. I respect all of them for their commitment to excellence, their dedication, you know what I mean, the sacrifices that they made, and the artistry in how they, displayed their art on their respective field of play. That was the basketball court. And I respect all those individuals' positions like that. Who's your favorite rapper? I may have a favorite rapper. Yours might be different. I may have 2 or 3 favorite rappers. It's okay. We don't have to have one over the other. You feel what I'm saying? I'm not comparing men or females. I'm saying men of just being human, right? And I'll leave with this. I recently, and we laughed about it, but I recently had a text with my with a group of friends, right? And I didn't know. I'm gonna talk a little bit about myself, right? That's okay? Because I didn't know this. I just found this out. A group of friends were wishing me happy birthday. And wishing me happy birthday, I guess a media group wished me happy birthday as well. And they sent a little clip on what someone had put out. And it was like, I don't want to lie to you, 2003 season or whatever. It was like Corey Webster had led LSU in pass breakups and also led the NCAA in pass breakups. I didn't know that. You know what I mean? I recently found out about leading LSU in pass breakups for my whole time there, but I didn't know about the individual, holding the record for the pass breakups in that 2003 season at LSU. And I definitely didn't know about, holding the record for the NCAA that season. I just didn't care about it. So not that I don't care about the work that we put in to do it. I don't care about the results at the end of the day. I think if you put the work in, the results are going to take care of itself. So anyway, in the midst of that, them putting that out, I guess they must have put out who's the top DB or cornerback from LSU. And it had my name, maybe Mo Claiborne, maybe Pat Peterson. I don't remember. Because I don't care about it. But maybe Tyron. I don't remember, you know what I mean? But who's the top corner? So on my chat, we respect everybody. One of the dudes said, a lot of people from my era going to say me, right? A lot of people, I'm sure, from certain eras that you was on the field with, they're going to say that, and I don't care, right? But one particular DB said, again, with all due respect, said Pat Pete. And I'm like, anybody else could have said that, but you said it. So this is my thoughts on that. I kind of had, I guess, expected more of you in that situation, because forget the numbers. Like, the numbers is what it is. You know what I mean? Like, forget the numbers and all that, right? Because me and you went blood, sweat, and tears together. So I put that in there. Me and you went blood, sweat, and tears together. And we have some actual stuff that went down on the field that also went down off the field that was larger than life could ever imagine, right? So I expect you to pick differently, but I respect, who you pick. You can't be wrong what you pick. I respect it. And me and him didn't get mad. We didn't go back and forth or nothing like that as far as arguing or anything like that. We laugh about it and we kept it moving. They made a few more jokes about me and NIL, about being NIL before NIL even happened, right? And talk about the vehicles I had and things of that nature. Shout out to my daddy. Right, they talked about that, but we laughed about it. So we didn't get into an argument about it. So I'm feeling like if somebody says something about your platform, somebody have an opinion on you, you don't have to get mad about it or angry about it, right? Allow those individuals to have their perspective and give it in an authentic, organic way so you know where you stand at. And if it's something that you can take from that and get better, get better. If it's something that you can learn from it, learn from it. If it's something that just needs to go in one ear, out the other, let it happen. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to comment back or give your opinion about them or even disrespect them or put them down in a way just because of their opinion. So I'll leave y'all with that. As always, appreciate you guys. Chime in, man, if you agree or disagree with anything that I said today. Fact check me on anything that may need to be corrected on today. But remember, like, subscribe, man, hit the notification bell. Hit the notification bell. What it is? I'm sounding like Webby. Shout out Webby. I love Webby. Hit the notification bell. Lock in, and we're going to continue to be consistent. And we out.